So how does the university help? And basis of what you're telling me, the university does make a big difference, right? Would you agree with that?
Of course, give you the tips and guidelines, but all the work is to be done from you. They won't bring any company on your campus to hire that, okay, they are having a hiring session and please go and sit, something like that. That won't happen. Recruiters, like the number of recruiters that have been reaching out to me or like my friends who graduated from other universities, maybe tier two or tier three universities. So like there is a difference. Like the if you see like the FANG recruiters specifically, they have some filter which they apply, and like people from my university have been like directly the recruiters have been reaching out that.
So, Siddhesh, first of all, thank you so much for joining us because I think considering the kinds of questions we've been getting from prospective applicants and people who are also planning on joining universities with admits, it's about the job search and what the process is and how the situation is in the US. And it's wonderful that you've decided to take time out of a very busy schedule to try and enlighten students on what the situation is like in the US in terms of the job search. And we definitely dive deep into that. But even though the title of this video will definitely highlight your credentials and being a Carnegie Mellon grad is wonderful. It would be great if you can introduce yourself, talk to us a little bit about your undergrad background, what you studied in the US, and what you're going to do in the future.
Sure. Thanks a lot for hosting me as a panelist. Hi, I'm Siddhesh, and I'm currently working as a data engineer at BNY Mellon in the United States. Starting my journey, I pursued my Bachelor's of Technology in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering from India in Sardar Patel Institute of Technology, Mumbai. And post that, I was working as a full-time senior developer for a year at ICICI Lombard in Mumbai itself. And after that, I pursued my master's in Carnegie Mellon University in Information Systems Management. And I graduated last December, like December 2023. And currently, as I mentioned, I'm working as a data engineer in BNY.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And before we go into the job search aspect of it, how was the MIS program? Because I get a lot of students aspiring for MIS and looking at Carnegie Mellon specifically. How was the experience in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the peer group, in terms of the university? Can you just summarize how you like that experience?
Sure. Coming to the experience, it was good. I preferred personally MIS program because it's a like you get a mixed crowd there, like people who want to go into technology, like who are coming from a technology background and want to maybe switch into product management or something, and at the same time, people who come from the non-technical background but who want to switch into software engineering or something like that. So there are mixed people who are pursuing their career into data science, people who want to pursue into product management and also into software engineering. So the peer group is also mixed. There are people with uh, different backgrounds and a different number of years of experience, which gives a holistic approach. And also like overall the course is very good. Like Carnegie Mellon, of course, it's a highly rated course. And coming to the courses that are offered, the electives that we get to choose, you really like there are two courses of like two programs offered, mainly a general track and a BIDA focus, which is business intelligence and data analytics. So depending on what your career goals are, you can choose specifically. And in the general track, there is more freedom on the number of electives that you can choose. So if you want to go into product management or business analyst domain or really into software engineering, you can choose courses from the School of Computer Science as well, which is the best school in the United States. So uh, depending on that, I feel that it's very good. Like overall, the Carnegie Mellon, the different schools which are there, the Tepper School of Business and the School of Computer Science, they have highly rated few courses which you can choose as electives, and rest which are offered from the Heinz College as core courses. They are also very fantastic.
And that's a very interesting point you mentioned, right? Like you have candidates who want to break into slightly more technical roles like a software engineering or more management heavy roles like a product management. Um, in your class group or your peer group, was there more people looking at more technical roles or more people looking at product roles, or was it like an even sort of mix?
There was a even side of mix, I would say. There were some people who really wanted to go into data analyst, data engineer, or data science kind of roles, like mainly into the data. some were who wanted to break into product management or project management, and like equal number of people who wanted to go into software engineering. So I would say it was a mixed crowd, and like a equally proportion crowd.
And did you find that it was easier for people trying to break into more tech roles as opposed to management roles? Because as Indian students, we have that mindset, right? Like, core mein raho, and, it's all about staying in core engineering. Or did you not see a pattern of sorts in that regard?
So again, like my answer would be, I would say biased, because we graduated in 2023 December when the market was not very good. So that time I would say, like during our internship, we saw a trend towards product management. Like there were more kind of roles which were open for product management, and more good companies were hiring. But when we graduated during full time, the wave was towards tech side, like towards data side and towards software side. So that's why people who wanted to break into product management might have found it a bit difficult. And just like because seeing the market conditions and seeing the visa restrictions, people just took up whatever they got into rather than what they actually wanted to get into. So that really depends. But I would say it was mixed. Like it was actually based on more on the market conditions rather than what people actually wanted to do. But yeah, as for people interest, it was evenly proportion.
Okay. So let's dive into your specific job search, right, Siddesh? So, with your specific offer that you had in hand, where did it come through? Was it through the university job portal, or did you do your own networking through LinkedIn, or was it a career fair, or how did you hit that?
So for me, it was directly through LinkedIn. Like since, as I mentioned, the market was pretty bad and there were not a lot of openings coming out, and it was seeing the market trend. So when we graduated, mostly finance fintech companies or like banks were hiring more that time. The technical companies were on hiring freeze, like all the FANG companies were on a freeze that time. So that's why it was more kind of banks. And again, the number of roles that were opening as compared to the number of people who were searching for the jobs, it was like very unevenly proportioned. The number of people were more and the roles which were opening were very less. So my this offer was directly through reach out. Like what I was doing is, along with applying on the specific companies portals and on a handshake portal, which is common in the United States, which you get access through your university. Apart from that, I was also making the most of LinkedIn by reaching out to people whomever I saw were like senior people, maybe director level or senior director, some kind that kind of people that I'll be graduating in December and I'm looking for a job and something like that, with just a short profile introduction. And through that, the conversation started, and eventually, my current manager hired me.
Okay. So you reached out to your current manager straight through LinkedIn, is what you're saying,
Yeah,
or?
so I didn't know that he's hiring or something. He was just like he was a senior position
Okay.
person in data analytics, and I directly like reached out to him.
Okay.
Then he liked my profile. We got on a call, and then he asked me about my graduation dates, about my interests, about my previous experience, what my skill set is, and then later, like after 2 months, he scheduled my interview, and that's how it went.
Okay, that's great. I know it's very difficult to analyze in hindsight, right? There could be multiple factors, but what do you think on your profile compelled the person to at least reply? After that, of course, you talk about a bunch of different things and you have time to sort of convince them. But what do you think compelled the person to reply to you and even consider your request at that point? Because they might be getting so many cold messages.
I feel so like, of course, my message just had my university name, what like my course is, and a bit about me, like my skill set, maybe just two, three languages, and something like I was professional in cloud, so like something about cloud technologies, just that. So, but coming to your point, so on call, like I asked him that itself, like I have messaged like I weekly I used to exhaust the LinkedIn reach quota, which is like I guess 100 or 150 people if you get a premium. So I used to exhaust that. So I was like, I have been sending this to all 100 people, and hardly like the conversion rate is maybe 5%, not more than that. Like at least five people will accept out of 100. So that's what I asked him, that like how did you get back to me and like what compelled you? So the thing he mentioned was like, I know Carnegie Mellon is very good university. We have few candidates who are working from Carnegie Mellon, and I really like people from that university. So I know like I don't really want to see your skill set or something, because I know that you will be coping up with whatever work we give to you. And since like it's the big start of career, there is more kind of learning curve ahead rather than what you know previously. So that's what his opinion was, that like the Carnegie Mellon is very good, and like that's how I have reached out to you like that.
And that is such a powerful point, right? And especially coming from you, because we try and say this, but of course, when it comes from the horse's mouth, there's completely different impact. When people say, "Oh, going to the US, it does not matter what kind of university you go to; it's the same H-1B. The job search is a struggle. You have to still send cold emails. There is no campus placement, right? So, how does the university help? And basis of what you're telling me, the university does make a big difference, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so coming to your point, like there, of course, there is no campus placement, and if you see like in India, there is a placement cell and the placement coordinator who is the master of everything, and he takes care of everything. Which candidate will sit for which company, and which company will come in which order. That's all that he decides. But in the US, it's pretty different. Like now, coming to the career services part, of course, like it's not the same in the United States, that they will be helping you, they will be like telling you what to do, and like how to do. They will of course give you the tips and guidelines, but all the work is to be done from you. They won't bring any company on your campus to hire, that okay, they are having a hiring session and please go and sit, something like that. That won't happen. But of course, on the other way around, the university name of course helps, like what we call a brand name. That really helps, because whenever the recruiters or any hiring managers, they are hiring, they have people in their team from this universities. Either they themselves are from these universities, or they have people in their team, they have seen their progress and their success. And that's how, like somewhere down the line, if not immediately after your graduation, somewhere it has to help you. And that's how, like, even recruiters, like the number of recruiters that have been reaching out to me, or like my friends who graduated from other universities, maybe like tier 2 or tier 3 universities. So like there is a difference, like the if you see like the FANG recruiters specifically, they have some filter which they apply. And like people from my university have been like directly, the recruiters have been reaching out that you are graduating and we think that this role is good for you, and would you be considering this role. That's how many recruiters have been reaching out since the market has started getting good, like in the Q3 of 2024. But that's not the same case with the people who graduated from tier 2 or tier 3 universities. Like the number of companies and recruiters that are reaching out, and the number of interviews that the candidate gives, there is a big difference in that.
Mhm. And wonderful. And I hope my editor does this timestamp wherever it comes in the edit, the last 2.5 minutes. If you can put down that timestamp, please listen to that part of the video in terms of the job search, in terms of the kinds of universities you're getting into. I personally believe that over time, not just in the recent job freeze, going to random universities in the US, that part of it is not going to serve you well. And right now, you heard from Siddhesh himself about experience of a diverse set of peers overall. And now that that's done, and hopefully people will view that timestamp in that video. Siddhesh, you said that the job market recovering in Q3 of 2024. Is that something that you've heard generally or seen, or where do you get that sense overall at this point in time?
Uh, so like coming to my experience, I have been like, into the job market and like in the process of application since I landed in the United States. First was for internship and then it was for full time. So like back from 2022, I have been doing this process. So like I have personally, it's all from my experience, nothing that I have been hearing, because every time, every quarter you hear that the next quarter will be good, but that's not what has been happening really. So from my experience, like recently, like from Q3 and Q4, actually the companies have been hiring mainly in software engineering. There is a kind of a boom, I would say. Like a lot of companies are hiring for software roles. All the top companies, be it FANG or FinTech or anything, they're hiring for software companies. Same goes for data, for product. I'm not sure how good it is, but overall, if you see the market sense, it has been, I would say, like the number of roles that have been opening and the companies that have been hiring. Of course, it's not at the best, which was like 2 years back when the economy downfall started, but like it has been recovering and catching it up, and hopefully in the next year it will be more better.
Wonderful. And I know that it's difficult to keep track of all your peers in a general sense because we don't, we get so involved with our own job. But how has it been for your peer group from the MIS program at Carnegie Mellon? Have a vast majority been able to secure jobs overall, or did anybody end up, struggling?
So initially there were a lot of people who were struggling. Not a lot, but there were some people who were struggling because, again, as I said, the market was not that good. But eventually, 6 months down the graduation, I feel everyone did end up in something, not really what they would have liked or like the kind of domain that they wanted to get into. Like the company, maybe if they wanted to get into tier one, they got into tier two or something, or it might be the compromise of the role. Like, but they eventually did land into something which is very important in current job market because, of course, eventually they can switch whatever they want to. So initially, there were few people who were struggling, but like I feel less than 10% are remaining now, I would say, or less than 5%. I'm not exactly updated about the exact percentage, but people have landed what they want or something that is sufficient and, like to actually work and survive in this market.
Great, and that's what it comes down to, right? Because top universities are expensive, and you'd agree with me, Carnegie Mellon is incredibly expensive, right?
Yeah.
So the return on investment and the financial risk is what students worry about. So, considering the situation, and I'm sure you went through a very stressful few months, when the market was down and when you're looking and you had all your peers looking. But how did it end up for you? The investment versus how your career prospects are looking right now. What is the advice you would give for students who are making this decision of investing so much in a top tier master's education?
Uh, so for me, I feel it comes to your personal choice at the end, like how you're looking and what are your goals. So for me, it was not a short-term goal that I was looking at. It was a long-term goal. And in a long run, I feel that like this name is somewhere going to, of course, help the Carnegie Mellon. And like the return on investment, if you say, of course, if you compare in the initial 2 years, that won't be the same if you compared with someone from maybe like a tier two university with scholarship getting an admit and doing studies from there. So that won't be the same, of course. But if you go in the long run, maybe over 4 or 5 years, of course, your return on investment will be huge, and the career prospects that you will be getting, that will be great. As like personally, as I mentioned, like for me, the same thing many people have been doing, reaching out, and I'm not sure how many people have been getting benefit of that, but it worked for me. There are different things that have been working for different people, but somewhere down the line the name has been helping me, and that's what I had uh, been hoping of, and that's what is actually happening. So I'm like very happy about that.
Like, thank you so much, Siddesh. I think there was some really wonderful and real insights, right? No hype, genuine story that came through. And I'm sure it'll benefit a lot of people who are, thinking about an education at the end of the day. And of course, the job search is going to be challenging. Nobody's going to, come out there and put it on a platter and give it to you, even if you're from Stanford or, wherever, right? But of course, if you put in the work, I guess the rewards do come through. So, Siddesh, essentially, a lot of students are worried at this point in time that the job market in the US is bad and that there are no jobs. And it's wrong to say there are no jobs. Of course, the post-COVID boom is never going to come back, probably. Uh, it is a challenging job market. But what do you have to say to them who are saying that there are no jobs in the US? What's the point of coming in general? Any advice or any insight from on the ground for them?
Uh, so I would say, like, contradicting to your question that there are no jobs in the US, I would say if you see overall, like in the world market, the situation was same. Even in the Europe, the economy was struggling, and they have been facing same issues. And even like since India is a service-based, like more kind of IT industry, the clients are at the end from US or Europe. And if they have been struggling with the economy, if they don't have projects, then the same would continue in India. And that's what we have been observing since last 1 year. Even in India, there have been a lot of difficulties of people getting placed through campus placements, or someone who is trying for switch. So I would say it's not that it's bad in US and good in other countries. It's overall the market is struggling, and once things get better, it is going to go up in all the countries. So I would say that, like, if you keep doing what, of course, it will take a longer time as compared to what it would have taken if the market was the best. But if you keep following the right steps and keep doing whatever is advised and whatever you feel right, things will eventually work for you.
All right. Do you have any, final bits of advice that you want to give to our viewers?
Uh, I would say, like, be firm on your decision, whatever you want to do. If you have that finalized, then other things will be automatically be taken care of directly or indirectly. Like, if you have decided that you want to pursue a master's, but, like, I would say have some goal behind it, not just because everyone is going to the US and that's why you want to go into US, or just like you feel that the degree is required and that's why you are pursuing a degree. Not like that. If you have some goal, have something in mind that you're chasing, then it is going to be how you drive it. And yeah, that's what, like, if you have something firm in your mind, then just go for it.
All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful piece of advice. And this is the kind of advice that you get, from folks who've been there and done that, and not some consultant who's never set foot in the US, advising you on what is good for you and what is not. Right. So get your advice from the right people is all we ask for. And thank you so much, Siddhesh, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to interact with the future students and whatever, like, whoever it will be beneficial for, of course, happy to do that.
All right. Thank you, Siddhesh.